I'm going to take one more look at the 1856 prediction of the return of Christ by Ellen G. White. And by the way, this is one of the failed prophecies that will be in the book I'm writing on the failed predictions and the failed prophecies of Ellen G. White. Uh, there are some people don't understand that God says things that are based on conditions, and He says things that are unconditional, that have no conditions on them whatsoever. An example of conditions that God places on something can be found in 2 Chronicles 7:14, where He says, "If," and notice the "if" there. That's if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face. If they do that, then God says, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and heal their land. So you see the if and the I there. The if is the conditions God is placing on that to come true. If His people would do those things, then God will hear from heaven and heal their land. That is conditional. If the people do what God has asked, then He will hear from heaven and heal their land. An example of unconditional statements made by God can be found in the Abrahamic covenant in Genesis 12, 1 through 3. If you read that in verse 2, you'll see where it starts off with the I statements. I will make you a great nation. I will make you name be great. I will bless those who bless you. You see the I's there. There's no ifs in there. It is unconditional. God is going to make that Abrahamic covenant come about regardless of what man does. All the I's there. I. It's unconditional. There's no conditions based on that whatsoever. And despite the predictions of Ellen White on the return of Christ in 1843, 1844, and 1851, she was up to predicting the return of Christ again in 1856. For a full understanding of that prophecy of 1856, you can watch my video, Countdown to Failed Prophecy, the Ellen White's failed prophecy. And I explain in there and show the 1856 prediction. There's absolutely no reference to any conditions in this prediction, none whatsoever. There's not a reference to any conditions based on that prophecy. There was no conditions in the day of that prophecy. No Adventist was attempting to place any conditions on that prophecy. It was only after the last person at that conference died, shazam! All of a sudden, it's conditional prophecy. There was no the people who heard that placed no conditions on it. There was no conditions placed on it up until the time the last person at that conference died. And then the mind control squad of the Seventh-day Adventist come out. Oh, it's conditional prophecy. It's conditional. It's strange that no one up to the time of the last person that died from that conference placed no conditions on it. But all of a sudden, the mind control squad of the SDA has got to protect their false prophet. And rather than telling their people the truth, rather than saying, okay, she's a false prophetess, they try to cover this up by saying there was conditions based on this prophecy. Again, I've had that video up for several months now. I've had several more videos up about the 1856 prediction. Not one Seventh-day Adventist has tried to refute it. Not a one. Not a Seventh-day Adventist since 1856, or when the last person at this conference died, has shown any conditions placed on this prophet. The point is they're in a state of denial. They do not want to admit and cannot admit that they follow a false prophet. Their organization was found on the misinterpretations of a false prophet. They were found on the false visions of this false prophet. They were found on outright lies. But the Seventh-day Adventist members, many of them, are in a state of denial now. And it wouldn't know the truth if it jumped up and bit them in the butt. Pretty much, they just wouldn't know it. Again, I would challenge any Seventh-day Adventist, the General Conference, Veth, Batchelor, the old Spin Myers himself, Walter Veth, any of them, to show me one condition based on this prophecy. One condition, that's all you have to do, and it will be shown that Ellen White didn't really predict the return of Christ. But the fact is, when you read the prophecy, there's absolutely not one condition based on that prophecy. Seventh-day Adventist, you are in a state of denial. It is not my fault that you're in a state of denial and that you're in a mind-controlled organization who will lie to you about anything in order to get your money. Until next time, this has been Golly Singh.